Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the August 23rd, 2020 special edition of The Breast There Is, The Breast There Was, and The Breast There Ever Will Be Wrestling Podcast. As always, I am your host, Mikey B, WWE. And today's special podcast is devoted to the special pay-per-view the WWE is putting on this evening, which is one of the original Big Four pay-per-views in the company, Summerslam. And Summerslam has seen a lot of amazing moments over the years. This match card is shaping up to be a pretty good one. There's some interesting feuds going on here, and especially with some of the top title matches, I'm pretty excited about those. So on the card this evening, there are, and I'm looking at WWE.com's website as I'm speaking, and their match card, which they have listed so far, and this is only a few hours till showtime. Right now, as I'm conducting this podcast, it's just after 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the kickoff show is set to commence at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So the fact that the WWE's website doesn't even have an official match card that's finalized, well, it's not surprising, and that's not something that I'm completely unaccustomed to with when I give these predictions. But moving forward here, on the card, there's 7 cards stated for the on the actual main card. There is one kickoff show match listed, which, as always per my policy, I'm not giving my predictions for kickoff show matches and pre-show matches. So let's get right to it. Of the 7 matches here on the card, there's a number of different championships on the line, and I think there's going to be a lot of changes going on after tonight. So the first match on the card is for the Raw Tag Team Championships, with the champions, the Street Profits, taking on Andrade and Angel Garza. I got a feeling that Andrade and Angel Garza are going to be victorious here, and then we'll proceed to feud with both the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. So I think there's going to be some title changes going on with the Raw Tag Team Championships in the coming months, and I think that will begin tonight. So my prediction in that opening match is Andrade and Angel Garza winning the Raw Tag Team Championships. The second match is a no disqualification, loser leaves WWE match between Mandy Rose and her former tag team partner Sonya Deville. Up until this past Friday on Friday Night SmackDown, this match was a hair versus hair match, and it's interesting that they've changed the stipulation now, because that actually made me change what I think the outcome's going to be. On a real unfortunate note that happened outside of, the fictitious wrestling world in the WWE, this past week, Sonya Deville had a pretty scary real life encounter involving this person who tried to break into her home and had been stalking her for a long time. So it's very scary stuff. And as a result of that, I thought for sure the company's not going to make her, after experiencing that, lose a few days later in a hair versus hair match. But now that they've changed this, that it's a no disqualification, loser leaves WWE match, I'm led to believe that the company has more hopes and more plans for Mandy Rose. She's linked with Otis right now in a romantic relationship, and you can just sort of tell by watching the programming over the last several years that you can tell that the company is really strongly considering making a push for Mandy Rose as a single women's competitor. They haven't really done that much yet. She hasn't won any big championships or anything, but I imagine that they see her more as a person that's going to lead that division in the years to come over Sonya Deville, which truly is a shame, because Sonya Deville is really talented. I think on the mic she's really good and does some great promos, but I suspect that they've probably run out of things to do with the Sonya Deville character, so and her contract is probably up. this sort of thing I don't normally look into because I don't want that to spoil my own predictions and knowing for sure. But if I were to know, that would probably give me a surefire answer here. But I suspect Sonya Deville is going to be leaving the company, and Mandy Rose will be victorious in this no disqualification, loser leaves WWE match. So my pick for match number 2 is Mandy Rose to win that one. The third match is a street fight featuring the son of Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, competing in his first WWE match, taking on the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins. This feud with Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins has been pretty gruesome, and it's also been going on for a long time. I would like to see this feud come to an end because it's been kind of gross with Seth Rollins trying to take out Rey Mysterio's eye and all this stuff. It's pretty nasty business. My gut feeling is telling me that the company is going to go with a happy result tonight with this encounter, and hopefully put an end to this rivalry and this feud with the Mysterios and Seth Rollins. And I'm going with Dominic Mysterio to be victorious in his first WWE match. And it's a street fight, so I'm led to believe there's no disqualification, and anything can happen. So I'm sure both Seth Rollins, his ally there, Buddy Murphy, is going to help him out, and just as Rey Mysterio is going to help out his son Dominic. But all in all, I'm going with Dominic Mysterio to be victorious in his first match, because I think that'd be kind of cold to make him, after the storyline they've been building, and for him to debut in the company and then they're just going to shut him right down. I think that'd be kind of a nasty move. So, but they're also trying to make Seth Rollins a pretty nasty character, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. But even so, I still am going with the happy feeling for a big pay-per-view show. Dominic Mysterio will win the match over Seth Rollins. That's my pick. Moving on to the fourth match of the night. And I'm going to actually talk about both the fourth and the fifth matches of the night together, because both of these matches are involving the same competitor. One's for the Raw Women's Championship, which is Sasha Banks taking on Asuka. And then the other one is for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and it has Bayley taking on Asuka. So this is I'm venturing to say that this match will be one of these matches will be the first match on the main card, because to have a person compete twice in the same night is never easy and never an easy undertaking. So they're going to certainly spread out these two Asuka matches. And certainly lots can go down here. Both Sasha Banks and Bayley, they are both the women's tag team champions, and they each currently hold the individual Raw and SmackDown women's titles. I don't think that's going to stay in place come the end of the night. And because from recent pay-per-views and recent programming, we know that Asuka is on the Raw brand. They haven't really done much flip-flopping with performers from different brands this year, and normally they do after WrestleMania they do a shake up, and they do they move characters from show to show. This year, probably because of the pandemic and because there's fewer competitors and performers, they opted not to do that. So anyways, in light of that, I think because Asuka is a Raw performer, it makes sense to me that she would reclaim the Raw Women's Championship belt. I suspect that she will win versus Sasha Banks, but at the same time, I also suspect that she will lose to Bayley. I think it's highly unlikely Asuka comes away with both belts, but you never know with the WWE. This all comes down to the opinion of one man, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, who's going to ultimately decide, the bookings for these matches. So there's no right or wrong here, but that's my gut feeling, is that Asuka will win one of these belts, and she'll win the Raw Women's belt over Sasha Banks, and but she will lose to Bayley, probably with some help by Sasha Banks. So that's my pick. So for the SmackDown Women's Championship match, for the record, Bayley, I believe, will retain versus Asuka, but for the Raw Women's Championship match, Asuka will defeat Sasha Banks and win the Raw Women's title. So that takes care of matches 4 and 5. Now moving on to the first of the top male championship matchups. The first one here is for the WWE Championship, and it's featuring champion Drew McIntyre taking on Randy Orton. One thing I absolutely love in the WWE programming recently is that they made a mention of the fact that Randy Orton has one of the highest number of championships on record. He's a 13-time champion, and the record is 16 times, which is tied by both Ric Flair and John Cena. I like the fact that they're going to make Randy Orton's character go for that. To be honest, I think a great WrestleMania match in the future would be to have Randy Orton take on John Cena, both having 16 titles and vying for, the prestigious 17th win. So I hope that the company actively does that, because it's exciting to watch. That creates more excitement when they have these guys chasing for individual accolades like that. So even though Drew McIntyre has been solid and has not lost since he won that belt at WrestleMania over Brock Lesnar, I still think tonight Randy Orton's going to take it, and I think this is a feud that will definitely continue. The belt might change hands a few times between these guys, but tonight I'm going Randy Orton. I would like to see him make the run at that all-time titles record, so I'm rooting for him, even though I like Drew McIntyre. And for those who are big Drew McIntyre fans, I wouldn't worry too much if Randy Orton is victorious, because I think Drew McIntyre will claim the belt back pretty soon. I think like I said, the belt will change hands between these guys a number of times coming up. So Randy Orton is my pick to win the WWE Championship tonight. And now for the final match in the for the Universal Championship, we have champion Braun Strowman taking on the Fiend Bray Wyatt. These two guys have a long history, and they've also competed against one another in recent months, but Bray Wyatt did not appear as the Fiend character. They've also added the element of Alexa Bliss and her, they're adding a different dynamic to this feud, saying that Alexa Bliss was once very much close to Braun Strowman, and they were borderline romantically involved, but now that she's kind of aligned herself a little bit with the Fiend Bray Wyatt, I'm going all in on the Fiend Bray Wyatt winning the Universal Championship tonight. Similarly to the WWE Championship matchup between McIntyre and Orton, I think that the Fiend Bray Wyatt will win, but I would also expect that Braun Strowman will win it back at some point again. I think this feud is definitely not going to be over, just like the McIntyre-Orton one. So, but I still think the Fiend Bray Wyatt, he's going to take it and maybe have a good run with the belt again, because the guy, one of the best characters in recent years for this company. So, as a top heel, as Wyatt is, it's good to give him a run with it. So, that's my pick for the final match on the card, the Fiend Bray Wyatt to win the Universal Championship match. So there you have it, folks. I'm predicting a lot of championships changing hands tonight, more so than in recent pay-per-views that I've given predictions for. So I think we're going to have an explosive night in the WWE. I think it's going to be a good one. Hopefully the best pay-per-view we've seen in a while, because lately they haven't, outside of a few matches, been not particularly exciting. So hopefully we have a good one on our hands tonight. So there you are. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel below. And hopefully the show is entertaining tonight. So thanks very much for listening, and see you next time.